So, thank you very much. Hello, how are you? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
Do you think that winning the Nobel Peace Prize changes the external image of European Union among the world?
I think it's certainly a very important contribution, at least for a debate. And as a Democrat, I very much believe in the merits of open democratic debate. It's already launched in the debate. We are discussing it because now, with you here in Oslo, because we received this award for the European Union. And the same debate is going outside, all over the world. And so I think already for that reason, it was a good contribution. Now, yes, it is an occasion for people to not to think about only the day-to-day concerns, but to look at the big picture, to put things in perspective, to remember that some years ago Europe was in war. Some of the most awful moments in mankind history was here in Europe. The Shoah, the Holocaust, it was here, not so many time ago. That you come from Spain, your country like mine, until in the 70s, it was not a democracy. When I was more or less your age, to go from Portugal to Spain was extremely difficult. All the controls, all the Guardia Civil, all the controls, I mean, it was incredible. But two countries completely look, now we even don't know if we are already in Spain or Portugal. Of course, we keep different cultures, but freedom of circulation, what a great achievement. And afterwards, Central Eastern European countries, they were under totalitarian communist regimes. Or the Baltic countries that were, in fact, under the Soviet regime. They were not even independent countries. And all this happened. And so we have to put things in perspective. Yes, we have many problems today. But this Nobel Peace Prize was a way of reminding us where we come from. And also to correct things that are not, probably not right now, to see where we are going for the future. The European Union, if you think about it, is the most successful project ever of transnational cooperation. Never in the history of mankind we had 27 countries that decided freely to share sovereignty, to put their capacities together around the values of peace, but also freedom and democracy. And it was a great contribution for the unification of the continent, but also a contribution for these values, like the value of freedom. So yes, we have many imperfections. We should not be complacent with the problems we have in the European Union, but for everything the European Union has achieved in terms of peace, of democracy and freedom, certainly it deserves a prize. At the same time, we have to take it as an encouragement for the future. Also, what we can do for the global order in the making. That's why I was so moved yesterday when I was in this Nobel Prize ceremony award, because it was so important, that spirit. And we should take it, as I said, as an encouragement also to address the concerns of those that today are protesting. Even if sometimes, let's be also fair, the protest should be against those who created the current situation. And it was not the European Union the cause of the problem. The current difficulties were created by the financial crisis. It was not created by the European Union. The European Union, to some extent, is the victim of this. We are not the problem, we are part of the solution.
Social unrest in Europe, I think, is an all-time high since the inception of the EU. And it's a lot of these, probably not these kids, but youth who feel that they have no future. How can we combat that?
Many ways. First of all, at European level, we have to fix the issues in the euro area, even if it was not the euro area alone that had the problems. I know it's now very popular to say it's a euro area crisis. First of all, let's make it clear. The euro is a very strong, credible currency, one of the two biggest currencies in the world, and in terms of value, it remains extremely strong. What we had was a problem, a combination of problems. Irresponsible financial behavior in many areas of the financial service sector, also accumulation of excessive debts of some of our governments. And this, of course, with imbalances at European level. So this has put some specific challenges to the euro area. So we have to fix things in the euro area. And this is very important because without giving a clear answer in these matters, there is no confidence. And without confidence, there is no investment, no growth, no jobs. But apart from that, what we believe we have to do is act in several fronts. One, of course, put order in the public finances. They have to be under control. We cannot systematically live above our means. Secondly, structural reforms for competitiveness. Some of our countries are lagging behind in terms of competitiveness. Third, investment for growth, because the key answer is growth. Only if we invest, we can have more possibilities to create more jobs. So it's a complex policy mix. There is not a magic solution. There is not a kind of a miracle. Those who propose to people like a miracle solution, in fact, I'm saying they are not telling the truth. It is a difficult process, sometimes with sacrifice in the short term, but I believe this is the only way if you want to keep what in the European Union we call the social market economy, our model. It's a model of open economies, but a model also of a strong welfare state, a model with protection of environment, protection of consumers. We are proud in Europe. When you look at the parts of the world, unfortunately, they are not in that area so developed as we are. But we need to adapt this model to the new, let's say, challenges of globalization.
We've seen that Europe is striving to an economic union, like all the monetary and political, all the fiscal policies that are being implemented. Yesterday you've touched upon the ground of a political union. Do you still find it possible? Or what would be the time frame for it, steps or challenges that you foresee?
Yes.
Thank you.
I think it's indispensable to have what I call the genuine EMU, Economic and Monetary Union, namely for the countries in the euro area. Because at the end, the credibility of a currency depends on the solidity of the institutions or the political construct behind it. This is why we need further steps. It's not because of an ideological reason. Okay, some of us are passionate Europeans and that we believe it's the way to go. But even without this passion, people understand that to have a common currency, we need to have more coordination in economic terms, in fiscal terms. And of course, if you want to have more coordination in fiscal terms and budgetary matters, then we are touching fundamental points of national sovereignty, because it's the powers of national parliaments. That's why we have to discuss the political issues of accountability and legitimacy. And that is why we need afterwards to discuss what we call usually a political union. How far are we going in terms of sharing sovereignty, in terms of pooling our competencies?
Claudio's question also touched upon a time frame. Is it possible to envisage a time frame?
I can make a joke there. There was a famous British Prime Minister who said, in life, in political life, we should always have targets, objectives, and a timetable, but never both at the same time. What I mean by that? What I mean is that I really don't know. And we have to be honest about this. I wish it as soon as possible. But we have to accept it's a debate. It's a step-by-step approach in Europe. So some concrete steps I can tell you. I hope that this week we agree on the first step on the banking union. That will be a single supervisory mechanism. Afterwards, we are going to come with a resolution mechanism. So we can discuss about a possible revision of the treaty after the elections, so in 2015. That we can discuss. Now, how long does it going to take? Frankly, I cannot say. I wish it is rather sooner than later, but I have to respect the pace of democracy, the rhythm of our national democracies as well.
Mr. President, what is the future of Erasmus? In view of the financial crisis, what alternatives are there for financing student exchanges? Thank you.
I am confident, and from that I have good news. The good news are that now I have the budget for next year. I don't know if you follow, but there wasn't a problem. The government were not accepting our proposal. It's in fact, I think, 19 million euros for next year so that we can keep our Erasmus program. It was approved by the governments. I think it's going to be approved tomorrow by the European Parliament. So, okay. Now, about the next financial perspectives, next budget for the next 7 years, we are going to discuss it beginning of next year. So we are already discussing it informally, but I hope there will be a decision on the budget for the next 7 years. Our goal is to have 2 million more students, 2 million Erasmus students more, adding to the 3 million that we already have in the next period of 7 years. And we are also creating new instruments like the possibility of guaranteeing loans for postgraduate students. So our goal is to have 330,000 students benefiting from those. So there are the commercial loans, but we can give guarantees to increase precisely mobility. I think it's one of the most beautiful programs we have in the European Union is Erasmus. And so we are trying to deepen it. I hope now the governments will accept to put the necessary financial resources, because once again we can do it if we have the tools and if the governments want to give the tools. But I'm pretty confident that we are going to keep and even reinforce our instruments for mobility in Europe, for students, but also for young people that are not necessarily studying at the high, let's say, high studies level, but they are, for instance, so-called what we have now, the Leonardo program, to allow people to have a professional experience in another country.